recorder to catch up with us. Let's introduce Principal Wade McElheny, Indiana Senior High. This is our final visit of the school year.
It is, Todd. Boy, this year has flown by.
Wow. And, they all do. But
yes, they do. I really appreciate the opportunity, again, to be able to come here and talk about what's going on at Indiana Area Senior High School.
Well, normally you bring about 2 busloads of students with you today, but you cut that back today.
We cut it back. We thought we'd try something different, but nonetheless very important. This morning we have a junior student, Hannah Uschock, who's going to be talking about an initiative that she is doing at the senior high school, and working in coordination with Indiana County District Attorney Pat Dougherty, who's with us as well, and also brought along Ms. Holly Marusa, who is our one of 3 school counselors, and she'll be here this morning talking about one of our programs at school that's related to the efforts that you heard about this morning.
Okay, well, let's talk to Hannah first. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here today.
Thank you.
This is a great program you guys have come up with here.
Well, I had the idea when I was talking to some friends of mine about what happened at IU Patty's Day, where someone from our high school that graduated a number of years ago died. And we thought, wow, it's getting younger and younger that this is happening to people because of drugs. And we thought, what can we do? What can we do? And I had the idea of, what if we had kind of an all-around approach in terms of how we can make people listen. So I contacted Pat to have him talk about what happens legally whenever you are caught with drugs and arrested and processed. And then I'm trying to get the coroner to come in to speak about what happens to your body. And then I'm also having a paramedic come in and more on that. But then we are also having 2 recovered users come in and speak about just what drives you to that addiction and how you can overcome it, and how it doesn't have to be the end of your life.
So you're going to put this all together in one event for the students?
Yeah, and it will be next Thursday morning.
Next Thursday morning at the school?
Yep.
Wow. Holly, let's talk to you a little bit about your role and what else is going to be happening on that time.
Yeah, good morning. As one of the school counselors at the senior high, I am super excited about what Hannah's doing. We're grateful that she is spreading awareness, because we do see this as an issue within our school, within our families, within the community. So I think any awareness that we can spread is great. We have a program at the senior high called our Student Assistance Program. SAP is what a lot of people refer to it as. And we're hoping that maybe we'll get some additional referrals. It really works through as a referral system where parents, other students, community members, teachers, staff can make a referral for a student that they have concerns about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be drug and alcohol. It could be for their physical well-being. It could be for their mental well-being, any kind of needs that we see for the student. But we definitely have an increased number of drug and alcohol referrals through that program. And so, our role is to evaluate the student, gather information, and then we want to get the families involved and get them involved with some treatment. Yeah. So that's a program that we really try to promote, and that we're hoping, to continue to make all of our students in the community aware of.
District Attorney Pat Dougherty is in the studio with us this morning. Pat, you get a call like that, I bet you that one's one that warms the heart a little bit, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Todd. To have this being student-driven is just tremendous. When Mr. McElhaney reached out to me and explained the program, I said, wow, this is tremendous. This is really what we've been looking to try to make inroads with the students to get education out there. Because as we all know, this addiction is, as Ms. Marusa said, all-encompassing. It's a community-wide problem. It affects our kids. It affects our families. So to have students interested enough to put something together, it's just tremendous. And I told Mr. McElhaney and Hannah whenever they contacted me, I'm all in, whatever they need. We're more than happy to help them through my office with resources and putting Hannah in touch with people. But I give this young woman a lot of credit because she has really worked her tail off to put together what I hope is going to be a very, very positive experience for the students.
Hannah, a lot of people in your position that aren't involved in this situation or that situation might say, okay, I'm good. I don't do drugs. I'm not involved in any of those questionable activities. I'm just going to stay away. I'm just going to stay as far away from it as I can. You're not doing that. You're actually being proactive here. Why?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that almost everyone has someone that's been affected by drug use. And actually, I don't think anyone in this room knows this, but my sister is a heroin addict. And it's really been a big part of my life that she hasn't been there. And it's just been hard. And a lot of people don't recognize that, but they really should.
When you came up with the idea and made the proposal, I'm sure the reaction by everybody was very positive. But talk about what other students are talking to you about and saying about this.
A lot of people think it's a good idea, and then there are a few that say, oh, it doesn't affect me. I don't do drugs. I won't do drugs. But statistically, some of those people will. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they won't. And I've been saying from the beginning that if we can just help one person, it would all be worth it.
Yeah. Principal Wade McElheny, you hear of efforts such as this, and as I said, it's very easy for students to say, I'm not involved and I'm not going to get involved. But when students do get involved like this, talk about what that does to you as an administrator and the feeling that goes through the hallways at Indiana Senior High.
It's a great feeling, Todd, when you have students take an active role in promoting the school community, the well-being of students, educating. It makes it a place for all. When you have students taking ownership of how to address problems, I think you have more buy-in by students because it is their peers. And we do a great job of educating them through the curriculum, through our counselors, but to have that added level of student involvement, I think increases the opportunities for success, as it does with many other initiatives and students being involved and being part of that school community. It's a tremendous asset to our school. From our end, when someone gets in trouble at school, it's usually what I have learned is that there's been some trying, some experimenting, maybe some partying going on during the weekend. And it gets into larger parties, more frequent behaviors like that going on during the weeknights, and then it bleeds over to the weekday morning when they come to school, whether they are using, possessing, distributing, whatever it is. And by that time, there are certain things in place that they'll be punitive. The goal is to help that student, but there's a process by which that student is going to go through, and usually requires some type of exclusion from the school. And that's the last thing we want. But at the same time, we have an entire student body. And more than ever, those types of situations are brought to our attention by the students. They don't want it in their school community. And yet at the same time, they care about their friends. So they know that if that's how that's going to get somebody help, then they will do that. I'll have conversations with students at times, and I'll say to them, if I said to you, 2 or 3 years ago, you'd be sitting in my office getting in trouble for some type of drug or alcohol offense, I said, what would you say to me? They'd say, you're crazy, Mr. McElhaney.
Yeah.
Then I would say to them, well, based on my experiences of some students who have graduated, and why this makes this issue all the much more urgent is we're seeing the ages of those young adults lower and lower who are overdosing or more seriously, who are dying. And so there is this sense of urgency to be able to impact them in a positive way, and to have a student do that and coordinate that and reach out with Pat, who has been a tremendous asset to our school community as well, brings it together. And then using our resources like Ms. Marusa, letting people know that, hey, there is a way out there to help your friends in a non-disciplined way. is a proactive way of doing it.
We have talked often, especially with Pat Dougherty in the studio, we've talked often about surrounding the darn issue and bringing it to its knees that way. And certainly the protection of the overall student body, just as in society, is extremely important. With your permission, we're going to send somebody over next week and maybe do some coverage on it.
Oh, that'll be great.
Terrific. Well, thank you all for coming in this morning. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Always Thought.
Thank you.
Same 1160 WCCS 101.1 FM.